Hello YouTube viewers, this is Blake Finn. Going to show you through the news how soon the Lord could come back, and then after this I may try to record Matthew 24.
But is he responsible for an attack on U.S. soil? In 19 days, Melania Trump has been out of the public eye for nearly 3 weeks, including time spent in the hospital for a kidney procedure. Where is the First Lady? I'm Wolf Blitzer. You're in the Situation Room.
This is CNN Breaking News.
Breaking news, a sudden and stunning response to shockingly crude and racist tweets. ABC has abruptly canceled its huge hit show, Roseanne, after the star Roseanne Barr compared former Obama official Valerie Jarrett to an ape. That comes as President Trump pushes the bounds of decency and democratic norms with his latest Twitter rants, including new conspiracy claims aimed at undermining the entire Russia investigation. We're standing by for a Trump rally. I'll speak with Congressman Hakeem Jeffries of the House Judiciary Committee, and our correspondents and specialists are standing by with full coverage. But let's begin with the breaking news. ABC cancels its biggest hit show after an extraordinarily crude Twitter rant by its star. Let's get straight to our senior media correspondent, Brian Stelter. Take us through, Brian, these truly stunning chain of events.
Hollywood has never seen a day like this before in its history. To cancel the #1 news show on television because of a racist Twitter rant, it's something that is absolutely turning heads in Hollywood. And here is what started it all, Wolf. This tweet from Roseanne Barr, one of several posts she shared on Twitter early this morning. She's referring to Valerie Jarrett, the former Obama aide, in this message, referring to the Muslim Brotherhood and the Planet of the Apes combined as being Valerie Jarrett. So she's insulting both African Americans and Muslims while promoting a deranged conspiracy theory about Jarrett. And that wasn't the only tweet that Barr posted. She also described Chelsea Clinton as a relative of George Soros. Then she posted anti-Semitic ideas about George Soros. So it went on and on in this tweet storm early Tuesday morning. And by dawn out on the West Coast, Disney executives knew they had a big problem. After all, there is no Roseanne show without Roseanne Barr. She is the star of the show. Pre-production of season 2 is already underway. But by about 9 a.m. West Coast time, executives at Disney and ABC, which is owned by Disney, had decided they had to pull the plug. It took a few hours to actually make the announcement. Many of the show's producers and stars were caught off guard. But here's what ABC's entertainment president Channing Dungey said about the decision. A very short statement here, Wolf. She said, "Roseanne's Twitter statement is abhorrent, repugnant, and inconsistent with our values. So we've decided to cancel her show."
What kind of firestorm was ABC facing over her truly outrageous tweets?
Well, that's an important piece of this. ABC was being accused of enabling and subsidizing Roseanne Barr's racist behavior because her show is one of the key parts of ABC's lineup. Now, Roseanne has always had a controversial Twitter presence. This goes back many years. In fact, she's posted things in the past that have been racist and offensive. But ABC thought she would tamp it down, try to control herself, or they thought her managers and agents would try to help her rein in her tweets and focus on the show. But frankly, Wolf, that didn't happen. Several times now in the past few months, she's posted absolute nonsense on Twitter, kind of BS like she did today. But this was even more egregious than anything she had posted before. So that's why ABC took this action.
How big of a hit was this show that ABC has now pulled?
Man, it burnt like a firework, the kind of firework network television has not seen in years. When it launched back in March, 18 million viewers watched live, others watched later. It reached a total of 25 million viewers. Not even football games usually reach that big an audience in the U.S. If you launch a new show these days and you get 5 million viewers, that is considered a hit. But Roseanne was off the charts. And even as it cooled down a little bit, the finale was a week or two ago, it still had 10 million viewers live on Tuesday nights. That made it a huge hit for ABC. But what the network did today was put morals over money. It is not something you see corporate America do very often, putting morals over money. In fact, Wolf, there was an episode of Roseanne, a repeat, scheduled to air tonight. But they've yanked it from the schedule.
It's interesting because back in 2013, she posted a truly disgusting tweet about Susan Rice, President Obama's national security advisor. I'm not going to read it other than say she made another comparison, like she did with Valerie Jarrett, both African-American women, made a comparison of Susan Rice as being an ape as well. There's a lot of history there. It was truly disgusting, which raises the question, Brian, why was she hired in the first place to have a comeback for her career, given this history of disgusting statements and tweets?
Yeah, it's like ABC tried to look the other way. You know, they tried to put earmuffs on and pretend like the past was the past, and that they weren't going to judge Roseanne based on the past. They were going to give her another chance and see if she could, again, rein it in, try to stop sharing and attacking people on Twitter the way she used to. But Roseanne continued to do it. She continued posting these tweets. And, of course, the subtext now is that we've seen this strain of intolerance in the Trump era that has many people concerned, including many people in corporate America. I think Disney is trying to make a statement here, not just about Roseanne Barr, but about what should be acceptable throughout the entertainment world, throughout the culture, when it comes to racist comments posted online.
All right, Brian, thank you. Brian Stelter reporting for us. We're going to have much more on this story coming up a little bit later, but there's other important news. ABC's stunning response to Roseanne Barr's racist tweets comes as President Trump has been unleashing a new Twitter barrage of his own, once again peddling some fake conspiracies about the special counsel's Russia probe. The president is on his way, by the way, to a rally in Nashville, Tennessee. That's where our chief White House correspondent Jim Acosta is right now. So what's behind the latest tweets from the president, Jim? And will they be echoed at the rally later tonight?
Today that he's moving on to topics like North Korea and other important subjects. After he ranted all weekend long about the Russia investigation and immigration, but at this rally here in Nashville, he's likely to go right back to those topics with more misleading statements, as he had over the weekend, misleading the public out there over and over again with tweets that seem to say more about him than anything else. Heading back on the road for more campaigning, President Trump was in no mood to take questions from reporters. But the president's had plenty to say on Twitter. Since the end of last week, he's posted more than 36 tweets, many venting his frustrations about the Russia investigation and spreading unproven conspiracy theories that offer a window into the mind of an angry president. One of the more baffling tweets alleges that special counsel Robert Mueller's team will be, quote, meddling with the midterm election, especially now that Republicans are taking the lead in the polls. But there's no proof of that. The president appears to be making it all up. But he's peddled this kind of paranoia before, like when he said the 2016 election that he ended up winning would be rigged.
And I'm afraid the election's going to be rigged. I have to be honest. Folks, the system is rigged. It's rigged, okay? And remember this, it's a rigged election.
The president's top aides insist it's his adversaries who have an unhealthy fixation on the Russia probe.
So much is happening that has nothing to do with this phony baloney talking about the 2016 election. And may I say one thing? Every time people talk about this phony Russia collusion, the word collusion doesn't even have legal significance.
Democrats complain it's the White House that's hampering the investigation and that the only solution is for voters to take action in the upcoming midterms.
You need to throw the bums out. As long as there's a majority in Congress that is willing to do this president's will, and as long as we have a deeply unethical president, there's only one remedy.
In another tweet, the president even managed to make a Memorial Day statement about himself, saying those who died for our great country would be very happy and proud of his record on the economy and his handling of the military, ending the message by saying, nice. The president also tried to get away with spreading misleading information on the issue of immigration, blaming Democrats for separating undocumented immigrant children from their parents once they crossed the border into the U.S. But that's not true. Both parties have shaped immigration policies for decades, and it's his administration's decision to divide up immigrant families. The president has said as much himself.
We have to break up families. The Democrats gave us that law. It's a horrible thing. We have to break up families.
Attorney General Jeff Sessions explained earlier this month the separations will deter more migrant families from crossing the border.
If you are smuggling a child, then we will prosecute you, and that child may be separated from you.
And the president is here in Nashville to campaign for the Republican Party's Senate candidate in Tennessee, Marsha Blackburn. The fact that the president has to campaign in deep red Tennessee says more about the fact that the Republicans are having jitters right now about how they're going to do in the upcoming midterm elections than Robert Mueller, the Russia investigation, than anything else. Of course, Wolf, they're concerned about every Senate seat that is up for grabs across the country because if the Democrats take control of the Congress, The Russia investigation is likely to continue.
Wolf, good point. All right, Jim Acosta, thank you. Jim Acosta in Tennessee for us. Joining us now, Democratic Congressman Hakeem Jeffries of New York. He's a member of the House Judiciary Committee. Congressman, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me on, Wolf.
Let me begin with your reaction to the president's baseless claim that Robert Mueller and his team are deliberately meddling in the upcoming midterm elections. Is the president, by doing so, trying to erode public faith in this investigation and, more importantly, in democracy?
Well, absolutely, and this has been one of the problems with the Donald Trump presidency from the very beginning. He consistently has faced a choice. He could either act presidential or he can act like a paranoid political opportunist. And time after time, he's continued to do the latter and eroded confidence in all of our democratic institutions just to serve his own petty political interest as far as he sees it. One of the reasons why I think he continues to go down this road is that he has had a failed administration. They failed on health care, tried to take away health insurance from 23 million Americans, imposed an age tax on people over the age of 50, and strip away protections against discrimination based on pre-existing conditions. He's failed on infrastructure, put forth what we call a fake infrastructure plan that would do nothing to repair our nation's bridges, roads, and tunnels. Failed on taxes. 83% of the benefits go to the wealthiest 1%. That's not middle-class tax reform. That doesn't benefit everyday Americans. It's one raw deal after another. The president obviously is running away from his failed record and trying to distract the American people. That's unfortunate.
But you have to admit, Congressman, the president has been somewhat effective at swaying public opinion, especially among his Republican base, against Robert Mueller and the Russia investigation. Take a look at this poll, the CNN poll. Among Republicans approve of Mueller's handling of the Russia investigation. 29% among Republicans approved in March. It's now down to 17%. Among independents and Democrats, it's remained basically the same. So at least for Republicans, his strategy seems to be working.
Well, he continues to play to his base, but we as Democrats are going to continue to talk about a forward-looking agenda focused on better jobs, better wages, a better future for the American people, what we believe is a better deal as it relates to focusing on good-paying jobs and strong economic growth. But it does, to me, belie reason that Donald Trump continues to convey the Mueller investigation as if it's some partisan political witch hunt. Every single person leading this investigation is a Republican. Bob Mueller, the special counsel, Republican. Rod Rosenstein, the Deputy Attorney General, overseeing the investigation at the Department of Justice, a Republican. James Comey, the former FBI Director, Republican. Christopher Wray, the current FBI Director, a Republican. The notion that this is some partisan political witch hunt is just a conspiratorial fantasy being peddled to the American people by a unhinged president at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
The president's personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, the former mayor of New York, admitted that he's trying to undermine Mueller because he believes this is going to come down, when all is said and done, to the court of public opinion. The current Justice Department policy, by the way, says that a sitting president can't be indicted. So do you believe Giuliani has a point when he says this will ultimately be up to you guys in the House and the Senate to decide whether to impeach, and if yes, whether to convict?
Well, Rudolph Giuliani continues to embarrass himself. He's a failed former mayor of the great city of New York, and now he's a failed attorney on behalf of the president. Though, when you listen to him, he does obviously communicate what is clear to those of us who've been paying attention to the president's strategy around this Russia investigation from the very beginning, which is to discredit, largely to make it an illegitimate investigation, when the cloud of illegitimacy is really hanging over 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, because many of us in America can't figure out, was this president legitimately elected or not? That's the whole purpose of the investigation that is underway. Now, many of us fought for Jeff Sessions to recuse himself, and he recused himself. We then fought for the appointment of a special counsel. Bob Mueller was appointed. He's a well-respected individual, a war hero, distinguished former FBI director. My view of the situation is let Bob Mueller lead the investigation, come up with his conclusions, present that to the American people in Congress, and then we'll decide what's the best way to proceed for our democracy.
Let me get your reaction, Congressman, to ABC's decision to cancel their